knowledge is not power. Knowledge is potential power. Knowledge is trumped every day by execution. And if you really want to change your life, you can't let the learning you have here lead to knowledge or become an idiot. You got to let your learning lead to action, and then you can become wealthy financially, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and everything else. At this point in my life, nothing surprises me because every culture is different in the world, all the countries I work in, but we all have the same human needs. And so I hope I don't make any faux pas. I've been coming here for 25 years, so I think I probably won't make too many of them while I'm here. But I hope you know they won't be out of disrespect. But I really give a damn more than culture. I care more about the individual. It's because I've been obsessed with a question for most of my life, and the question really is, what makes the difference in people's lives? Why do some people perform so poorly consistently, even though they have every advantage? And why are there some people that perform at the highest level have every disadvantage? And why are there some people that achieve everything they dreamed of and they're miserable? How many know somebody that has every reason to be grateful for their life and they're not? They're frustrated, they're pissed off, they're worried. How many know somebody like this? Say I. It's chronic. It's chronic in the world. And to me, that's failure. If you succeed and you're not fulfilled, that's failure. Because when you're not fulfilled, you've got nothing to really give anybody else. The problem is when you are learning in the way we've traditionally learned, it was preparing you for a different world than the one we're in. You were supposed to sit passively. You report to your position when the bell rings, and then what do? Talk to your neighbor? Initiate? Make shit happen? No, what are you supposed to do? Sit down and what, guys? What are you supposed to do? Shut up. Don't talk to you. Today, if you're in business, you don't talk to your neighbor, you're out of business. Who's with me here? Say I. If you wait for someone to tell you what to do in business, it's over. Your competition has taken you. So we live in a different world, and here's the problem. You're still learning the way you were taught to learn. So right now, you're all being very nice to me. I have no complaint. You're being very sweet, but you're sitting in a passive state. And let me explain why that's difficult. Who's ever done this? How many of you have ever gone to an environment where you learned something? Could be a university environment, could have been a business environment, could have been a seminar, and you learned something you truly thought was extremely useful. It wasn't somebody selling you. You're like, this is good stuff. This will change my business. This will change my life. And you were excited about it. And then you went home and you never actually applied a frickin' thing that you learned. Who's ever done this before? Raise your hand and shout, I. Who's done this more than once? Say, I. Who still feels intelligent? Say, I. You're confused. Now, I've done the same thing in the past, and I had to figure out what's the problem here. How could I be this devoted, dedicated guy, commit my money, my time, my energy, go to these events, work my tail off, take lots of notes, and then not apply it? And it's because I was learning in a passive state. Because when you're sitting like you're sitting right now, there's nothing wrong with it, but you will not, how much will you remember? If I asked you, where were you on 9/11, and you're not even Americans, how many can remember the moment when you heard about those planes crashing in the building? You could see where you were, you could remember, raise your hand if you could remember every detail. Wow, tell me where you were on 8/11. You know why? Information without emotion is rarely maintained. If there's enough emotion, if on 8/11 you met a special person in a special place and had a special experience, you might remember that because there's a different level of emotion. So one of the things we want to do is when you're learning in the traditional sense, there's not enough emotion in your nervous system. There's not even enough emotion, there's not enough energy. If there's one thing we have to be successful, I'm wasting my time and I'd be wasting yours if all we do is continue to talk this way. The reason is it might be interesting. As we go through some of the strategies, you'll probably be excited, write them down. But in this level of energy, here's what happens. Whatever state you're in when you're learning, it gets linked to what you're learning. So if you're sitting here and you're really comfortable and you're kind of enjoying this and going, wow, this is pretty good, or wow, that's really interesting, or that could be really valuable, or damn, he has big teeth, or whatever you're thinking right now in your head. If you're doing that in a passive state, then later on when you go to do something, you go, yeah, I'm really going to do this. This is really going to happen. And there's just no energy for it. So the less energy you have, the less likely you follow through and use something. How many follow here? Say I. And so, but some of you might say, yeah, but Tony, I've been here 2 days and you know, it's great to be